Hey everyone, it's me, Peppermint, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Welcome to Pepp Talks, the weekly interactive show that covers notable Black cinema throughout history and so much more. Each week, I invite you to throw on your pajamas and your mud mask, get your little drink or whatever you have in for your beverage, and get comfortable with me and my celebrity guest as we dish our takes on movies, drama, and our favorite trends and products. Whoa. This is basically a celebration of all things that I love, makeup, Black culture, and connecting with each and every one of you. Um, I'll be in the comments, by the way, basically through the whole show. So I want to know what you got to say. I might ask you some questions. I expect you to answer, and I will be looking down at my phone. So if you see me looking down, I'm not like ordering a pizza. I already did that. I'm looking in the comments because I want to know what you got to say. Uh, Today's movie and guest are Barbershop 2 back in business, and I'm so happy to have her here, the fabulous Miss Angelica Ross. But before we get in, I'm so sorry to say this. I am absolutely over, and I don't talk about this that much. I am so over what is going on with the White House and our president. It's driving me up a wall. I feel like we cannot escape it every single day. They're trying to keep us focused on what he's trying to do. And I'm sorry for the rant, but I really do need all of us to just put our energy, this end of year energy, into getting us through this like black hole that 2020 has been and get into 2021 without any of that division and negativity that's just been like pouring on us for the past 4 years, but past like 6 months pretty strongly. And so I am really focused on these runoff elections. There's only a couple weeks left. And right now, right about now, we are all eyes on Georgia. We were all eyes on Pennsylvania, which is my home state, but now we are all eyes on Georgia, which is why I'm really excited to have our special guest as well, who currently, not to give up too much information, but I hear may reside somewhere around Georgia. I won't say exactly where. Um, my special guest, the fierce, the fabulous, the trailblazer, the businesswoman, the actor, the performer, the musician, the singer, the activist, the um, the beloved Candy, and the future mogul, Miss Angelica Ross. Hey, Mama.
Hey, thank you for having me, girl.
Girl, honey, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know that your schedule is slammed, so we are just so lucky to have you on as a guest, and I couldn't be more happy. Let me turn this light a little bit. It's looking a little too washed out. There we go.
Yeah, girl, because let me tell you something. You got the hookup, you got the plug, because to everybody else, it's no. I'm tired.
You know what? I knew that, and I heeded that warning when we did Black Queer Town Hall over the summer. And I want to make sure I tread lightly on Miss Ross's schedule now, darling. But I figured this might be as good a time as any. Right? It's around the holidays, yes. And we're preparing, as I said in the opening of the show, we're getting ready for. But please tell her I got to keep this habit. What are your pronouns? I know what they are, but please let's announce. I'm going to make a habit of asking. Will you please?
Yes, my main pronoun is Miss Ross, but you can also use she and her.
Yes, Miss Ross.
Mm-hmm.
You are in Georgia. That's where you purchased your home. And there's a lot of attention on Georgia right now. There will be until January 5th. And so what is your message to people who might feel and may have been disenfranchised with the entire voting system here in the US? Of course, I'm not talking about people who are claiming that it's fraud right now and that not those people, but people who are considering not going out and voting?
Well, I will say this. I know firsthand and I've seen firsthand what our vote can do, how we can change what representation looks like when you have folks like AOC and Ayanna Presley, when
Okay.
when you have folks like Stacey Abrams who whose integrity is such that I watched her while I was in Georgia run an election and it be blatantly stolen from her.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
watched her not complain about the rig system that it is, not, but she went right to work in fixing the problem. And so, and I know so many other folks, even like, Bruce Franks Jr. out of St. Louis, who, he had a documentary called St. Louis Superman, who is someone like
Oh
from the
yeah, I saw
streets,
it.
a battle rapper who, yes, who ends up running for state representative, and wins, and then gets certain bills passed. So if we have to understand that it's important to vote in every election, not just for president, but for those elections that represent our local what's going on the ground right here in our cities, in our hometowns.
Listen, if you are watching on Twitch right now or YouTube or Facebook, please check the link in my description or on Twitch, my Twitch profile, to leave a tip and support the production of this show so we can keep it going and have excellent conversations like the one I've been having and am still having and we're going to continue to have with Miss Ross. Uh, this show is free to watch, of course, but it's not free to put on, and uh it feels like a labor of love, but we really would love to be able to keep it going uh all the time. But we can only do that with your support. So please, 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 please donate by hitting the tip button, and we can see the little coins going across the screen every single time you do, so that we can bring you the best, like Miss Angelica Ross, every single week. Um, uh, so the we have our eyes focused on Georgia and the runoff election. We are also having, you know, I think we're having more conversations. All this people in this country are having more conversations about inclusivity and diversity um, in a way that is different than I've ever seen before because of everything we've been through for 2020. And so you and I were having a conversation about um, a, a very deep conversation that involved transness, sex work, and more over on my Patreon for the pre-show. And so if y'all haven't seen, go over to my Patreon so that you can see the pre-show, so you can know what we were talking about. But we were talking about the kind of crucial nature that is very different in experience for different people when it comes to sex work. And you were basically just talking about how you could be somebody in a hotel getting gifted things, but the experience of some of the girls out on the street might be very different.
It's very, very different, and it's just one of those things where that's why it's just so important to put technology in the girls' hands. With a smartphone, they can screen clients. With, a smartphone, they can use, location
Mhm.
technologies to let their friends share their location with their friends and let them know where they're at. There's just a lot more that can be done when you can get technology into folks' hands. So when I say tech, I don't just mean the coders. I mean the technology it takes to swipe that mother's credit card. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, honey. Because I have a Square, I have a PayPal swipe, I got every single one, honey.
Listen,
They come in.
listen,
Yes.
the technology to collect the coins. That's what I want to talk about.
That's
Let's collect them coins.
a that is the truth, honey. Okay, this is a very serious question I have for
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Toilet paper,
Mhm.
over or under?
I I know that this is always a conversation, and I personally, I like it to be over.
Okay.
I don't like the under. Like I like it. I mean, I know I understand that you can just do this and then it comes down. I don't know, but I actually wait. So am I changing my mind right now?
Okay,
But like,
tell me.
no, because like, wait, because I'm just thinking of like when I'm in the hotel. Okay, so when I'm in the
Yeah,
hotel, I just remember they're setting it, and that's the way
it's
they're
over. They
setting it.
usually set it
Is
over.
over. Yeah, so that's the way
Yeah.
they're setting it. But now that I think about it, I do like it to roll underneath, just as long as it's not a situation where it just rolls to the ground forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
Man.
just feel like when it's under, you can't really tell where the end of it is. You got to keep spinning around, and then it just, like you said, it can roll to the ground.
Well, no, when
But
it's under, I think you see the start of it much sooner. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just kind of like a boom, and you see it when it's over. I feel like it just.
no,
I don't know. It
girl,
all depends. It
no,
all depends.
girl,
It all
no,
depends.
girl.
It all depends.
I don't know what kind
I
of
don't know.
toilet paper you use then, but that's all right.
Only
It's
the
good to hear.
finest.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
It's good to hear that we have it's been split, you know, since we've been talking about this on the show, and I guess it's an age old
I
question.
order my toilet paper special with my initials monogrammed on them.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, darling,
Yes.
fancy, honey, rose
No, I'm just
scented
kidding. Let
toilet
me not.
paper.
Let me not. Let people sometimes don't read my sarcasm, so I got to stop
Don't do
because
that.
the
Don't do that.
internet. The
Don't do
internet already thinks that I'm a millionaire. I am not a millionaire. Please don't read everything that Google tells you. I am not a millionaire.
Honey, the Drag Race fans will know I was there for the beginning for the controversy of the red M&Ms with Valentina, who was last week's guest, and
I love Valentina. Yes.
it's too much. Uh, so wait, let me check these comments now, really quickly and see. For
What are
those
people
of you,
saying?
yeah, see what these kids are saying. I want to know, I have a question for the people in the comments. If you watch this week's movie, Barbershop 2, let us know. Put some scissors in the comment
Child.
with scissors in your comments
I
so
want
we
to
can
know
see.
why you picked barbershop too. That's what I want to. I want to know what was
We
behind the decision.
well, we have the list. Okay, so let me tell you. Well, first, let me tell everybody else to head over to the Patreon if you want to see me and Angelica Ross talk about Mario Lopez as Colonel Sanders, how Angelica found peace during quarantine, the impact of Angelica's success and redefining what trans success looks like, and helping sex workers off the street, which we obviously continued on this part of the conversation. Going over right now to that Patreon. And in a minute, I have these Patreon questions that are from some patrons that we have especially for you. But first, the reason why I even started the show to begin with, girl, was because I have, got lots of different types of friends. I do, and I'm a big, huge movie buff. Like I will go and see every movie as long as it's not animated, because I don't do animated movies. Um, that's
Mhm.
my stupidity. And and but whenever when I like Saw, or like I like horror movies. When like some crazy movie would come out, girl, anybody, oh, let's go. But like when 12 Years a Slave came out, I was hard pressed to find any of my white friends who wanted to go and see that movie. And it bothered me, I went on and saw it by myself. Not that I only have white friends, but I just happened to see the movie by myself that day. And then when I went and started this up, obviously this summer, I was like, you know what? There's a lot of great Black cinema that a lot of people have missed only because they said, I'm not going to go see that movie because it's a Black movie. And so that's why,
You. I've never seen 12 Years a Slave either.
hey, but why would you object? Did you? If I invited you to watch it with me, I don't think you'd be like, oh, I ain't watching that movie.
Well, I might be like, girl, I'm not watching that movie. Like, let me tell you, because the thing is that I don't like how they did my girl Lupita. Like, and let me just tell you, like, I don't like
In the
how
movie or
Hollywood
in the industry?
both. Because let me just say this. I
Mm.
don't like how Hollywood loves they're so freaking quick to fund a slave movie or to fund a
Girl,
white savior movie. It's unreal. But to fund any kind of like diverse, like real kind of outside the box narratives, they're very slow to do that. So my thing is that when someone wins those kind of awards, like she won on 12 Years a Slave, right? It's supposed to be so where's her Scarlett Johansson career? Where,
That's
but
the
we've
truth.
had to
You're not
write her.
lying.
We had only black people have had to write her into the roles that she continues to slay on. Black Panther, Us, all the different things that she's sort of coming up on. Where are the white people showing up with her roles? Where are they with her Oscar nominate? Oh, that's because they can't tell. They know they can't tell another slave story right now, and that's why I refuse to watch Slave Story. I just refuse to because, like, even Harriet, I was like, "Oh no, ma'am, y'all not about to turn this into a musical. This ain't
Girl, I
Hamilton."
went and saw
Like,
Harriet. Oh Lord.
girl, I just started. I couldn't. I got
Girl.
the her for it. And listen, I'm all. I support black. Listen, I love, but like I was watching you watch Harriet, and um, is she singing? I said, no, these white people did not. Like turn this move like into a musical because Cynthia can blow. Cynthia can
Oh,
sing.
honey.
So
Yes.
all of a sudden Harriet Tubman is
Is
doing
singing.
numbers. She's doing full on
Girl.
numbers.
Numbers, darling. Numbers, darling. Musical numbers. Girl, I gotta tell you, the best.
Around the tree talking about oh, you're like, girl,
No, no,
no.
no, no, no.
Stop.
Girl, yeah, yes. Yes, no.
I can't do
How
the slave narratives, is what I'm saying. I
I
want to see my people in stuff like Lovecraft Country and stuff
girl,
like Us and stuff like that that just makes us think and stuff like, Black Mirror when the two black guys were in the video game world. Like
mhm.
show me something different. Damn it.
I'm all here all for that. And I think part of the truth is that it seems like, I mean, it's certainly doesn't seem like it. It's in many ways we do still live in a divided country in a way. And there is some viewing that I think some of us would benefit from more than others, right? And I'm not saying we
I
need
bet you one thing, I don't need to see another slave movie. I bet you that.
no,
I
no,
don't need to see another
I'm
one.
not girl.
I'm good. I'm good.
Listen, you're right.
I'm
You're
good.
right. Let me tell you this though. Um, I didn't want to go see. I wasn't like dying to see a slave movie either. I don't like seeing us get whipped and chained and all that stuff. I went and saw it because it was a hit movie, and
Of
so
course.
I see every hit movie, right? Um, I was surprised to see that there was an element that existed in 12 Years a Slave that I had never seen. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to see the same thing over and over. And there was a focus on the economics of slavery, of chattel slavery, uh, in 12 Years a Slave that I had never seen included into a film before. And it really showed, to an extent, the decisions that went behind, that drove some of the things that happened. And that doesn't necessarily make it worth seeing for itself. But what I did like is that it kind of, other slave movies just seem to start and the black folks are just slaves. This actually showed these white folks that what it would take for someone to beat and murder and rob and rape and kill and and beat someone down into slavery and seeing that process and splitting up their family and selling them, and that is, it was devastating to see.
But
But
the one I have watched is the Django Unchained. Now I enjoyed that one. I will have to say I mighty finally enjoyed that movie.
I guess my point is that I was looking for, before 12 Years a Slave, I was looking for um, a way to shine the light on average white folks to get them to acknowledge their history in a way that was meaningful and had atonement. And that has never happened. There's white people know that their ancestors were slave owners, but I don't think I've ever seen that happen. And so that's what I was excited to see. Now that we've come through 2020, I think there's a conversation happening in a way that has never happened before in my lifetime. And so, what are
Mhm.
your thoughts on the movie? Okay, here I'm gonna, you're gonna like this.
Yeah,
Harriet. I'm not. I wasn't loving. The best part of Harriet for me was Janelle Monae. Best
I
part
didn't
of,
get that far, but I bet you that she was great.
she was great.
Yeah, I love
Then
Janelle
she
Monáe.
played in this year's movie, which we saw on TV. I actually went and saw. I think I went and saw. Did I see it in the theaters? No, I saw it here on the TV. Antebellum. Uh, did you happen to look? It was a very different
I did not get to see that.
story. Okay. What are your thoughts on? I mean, you didn't see it, but do you have thoughts on that? Is another kind of slave narrative, but it also takes place. I'm not sure if you know the premise. It takes place in
Yes, I
current
did
time
see.
and
Yes. Well, I'm all for Black people making, any sort of attempts at us creating art out of
our
these moments
history.
of history, telling it from our lens.
Mhm.
I don't have a critique on it being a slave movie when it's coming from our folks, because I don't think that what's being shown on screen is the same as what other folks show on
No.
screen. I think that, for us being beaten on screen and being dehumanized on screen, it's in this weird way to get white people to feel.
Mhm. That's very real. Listen, we have some questions from some of your fans who are on my Patreon, and they have submitted questions ahead of time. Joe Dane says, "Hey, you gorgeous. I'm a trans non-binary swerker," which I just heard this term for the first time like a month ago. Like I've never heard that term. I love it. For those of you who
Love
don't
it.
know, that means sex worker. I'm educated.
Yes, worker.
And was wondering if you could speak on decriminalization. Thanks for all that you do. And obviously, Joe Dane didn't know that we were going to accidentally have this conversation earlier. You talked a little bit
Right.
about it, but if you want to sum it up for Joe Dane, that'd be great.
Yeah, just decriminalization. I'm down for it. I mean, basically, whether you're cis or whether you're trans, all people should have an autonomy over their bodies, not just men. And so when it comes down to, when it comes down to sex work, especially, I think that we have to just create an environment where our number one thing is about protecting each other
Mm-hmm.
and protecting ourselves. And so when it comes to sex work, for me, I'm all about, is it safe and empowering?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many and so as we are advocating for the decriminalization of sex work, we have to, I think, at the same time advocate for the protection of sex workers,
Mm-hmm.
of creating an environment that gives them the best, ability to make the decisions. Because I think that once we decriminalize sex work and once we legalize sex work, it really gives the power back into people's hands where folks are used to taking or
Mm-hmm.
tricking people out of that space. But
Mm-hmm.
now when I say pay me, I mean pay me. You see the sign on the door say pay. I
Hey,
take American Express, MasterCard, Visa, because I learned through Transtech how to build a website and swipe credit cards.
no, now we can tap, girl. Now we can tap.
Now listen, tap, tap, tap in. Tap, tap in.
Nelson DePina, a regular of ours, asks, "Is it hard to get representation as a trans person in the representation or management in show business and as a trans person? And do agents know how to fight for and represent?"
Ooh, those are good questions.
Mm-hmm.
So do they know how is no, they don't. Most of them do not. It is definitely a case by case situation, but as the industry as a whole, no, they do not. Is it difficult to get representation? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this because a lot of people have come to me in different conversations. They're like, Angelica, can you, like hook me up with your management or like, I need manage the manager, whatever. And I'm like, no, you don't. You can. And what I mean by that is you've got to do what you do to the point where it becomes unmanageable for you. because a manager doesn't make it happen for you. They don't. They help manage what's going on in your career. So
Mhm.
you have to like get past these mindsets that meeting certain people along the way is what's going to make your career happen. That's not how it works. You have to learn how to sell yourself. You have to learn how to manage yourself. And then you delegate those things to other people who you hire and trust to take those things. But they don't make it happen. You make it happen.
That is that Nelson, you better start you better now your career in show business seems like it has officially started with the words of Miss Ross.
Yeah.
Um Izzy Busy Bee says, what do you do to recenter and relax? Well, I feel like we already, okay. What do you do to recenter and relax whenever possible? To treat yourself in a reminder, in reminder of your worthiness. Okay, so how do you luxuriate and remind yourself how beautiful and worthy you are through your relaxation?
Hmm. I pause because I like on answering questions and actually thinking about them,
Yeah, yeah.
so but like um I will say that for me, music is a huge release. So for me being able to like sit at my piano or guitar or whatever and or just even have space to sing and just like do whatever, listen to music. Like music is like that quick, fast hit for me. It's something
Mhm.
that can calm me down right away. So that is something that's an immediate. But other than that, like I really try to watch TV and do different things that like without, like, working, without studying it for some reason or, it just, like, really just, like, vegging out, So, I think I'm someone who's just constantly working my brain, working on this, working on that. So, I have to include things like playing Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? Like, "Finish him!" Yeah, rip that neck off. Yes, like, I get the stress out.
Um, I just got the what do you call it? I just got this little fake Nintendo thing. It looks like an old school
No,
Nintendo.
you talking about the Nintendo Switch? Oh, no?
It's not Nintendo Switch. You know what it is? It's like this little Nintendo thing. Um, it looks I can't unplug it because it's down it but
Uh-huh,
it
uh-huh.
looks like the original Nintendo, the gray box with the controllers.
Wow,
But it's a
yeah.
mini version of it and it has all the games in it already. It doesn't need
That we used to
cartridges.
play. Uh-huh.
All the games that we used to play, darling, and I am in love. I've been playing
I
I
might have to
remember
get that
Super
too.
Mario's. Girl, it is lovely. I got it for like $30.
But
So
my all-time favorite game is Guitar Hero. Like, I don't know why they discontinue making that, but it
oh,
was my
that
favorite.
was too
Playing
expensive.
Stairway to Heaven was like I was like jamming. I was like, I got this shit.
That was
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
that was the song, that was my our song. Me and my girlfriend, girlfriend, first and last girlfriend, that
Yeah.
was our song that we would dance to, Stairway to Heaven. It was like 15 minutes
Yeah.
long, girl.
Yes, I love it.
Mila Jam, we have a celebrity question from
I
Miss
love
Mila Jam.
Mila.
She says, love to my sis, Angelica Ross. Have you experienced any estranged family wanting to support you now because of your success?
I sure have. And they can
Oh,
stay estranged. Yeah, like no, but no, it's one of those things where I, look, I have a lot of family who has actually been very supportive from the like beginning. My grandmother, I have some aunts who have been like very supportive from the beginning, and they're still like my biggest fans on Facebook, like sharing all the stuff, commenting, like they're
mhm.
diehards. And then I have other folks in my family who just real weird, like just do real weird. I had one cousin reach out to me talking about how much a fan she was of Pose, right? She's such
Okay.
a fan of Pose. She just love it. Oh my God. I watch every week and blah, blah, because I be telling people, my cousin on there and he be doing so good. And I said,
Oh
I,
no,
s-
child, Lord.
I said, what show you watch? You said what
And you
Pose?
calling and you saying he? Good
And calling
Lord.
me by my dead name in the conversation too. And I'm just like, girl, is you picking up what we putting down? Is you
Are
even
you
picking up the
actually watching
lessons?
the show?
No, no, you just see me on TV. Okay, like that's what it like is you not really, whatever. So that was one thing. So I just let it be. I just let it be.
Okay.
I let that be. And then I got one aunt who just got the nerve just to have like to try to be in my face about anything, like a support and blah blah blah, whatever, while wreaking havoc in their own trans child's life.
Oh no.
Like literally wreaking havoc. I mean, I think hopefully they gotten somewhere great now, but it was this thing of like what? Because I'm like I started at the same place too at one point where, we all start somewhere, whatever the case is, but don't speak one way to me and then be treating them a different way. Like it's either you
That's
support trans people or you don't. So it's like sometimes people like want to be down with what I'm down with, but they don't realize. Do you understand? Do you know? Like it's in the same vein of like people inviting me to places and not realizing they invited me. So because they
uh,
think, oh, Angelica Ross involved. We inviting Angelica Ross, but you the same company that has racist, history or this, that, and the other, and you invited
yeah.
me. So y'all wanted me to talk.
Yeah, because she's gonna say what needs to be said.
She's gonna. So it's just one of those things where I have great family, amazing family,
Mhm,
like diehards and friends that I've had for a long time. And then I
mhm.
got other folks who just be trying to show up. I got one person who got one coming, and I hope you out there watching at some point because I got your number coming, mother. I
Oh,
got your number
bitch. We gonna
coming.
find you. Go
I
ahead.
got your number coming. Don't you? Was like one of my worst. Like was someone who, when I worked at a makeup counter in Racine, Wisconsin, like showed up to my job with
All
people
right.
to tease me.
League of Their Own.
Yeah, yeah, listen. Yeah, Racine, Wisconsin. Yes, I was working at the beauty counter and I was like stuck behind the counter, doing my thing. And like he's bringing folks to like point out that's a man and this doing all this and kind of blah, blah, blah. And then still, like as time going on, trying to push me his project to sell to somebody. I wrote this, I wrote that. Well, keep writing.
Child, these I think some of them just want to say that they're down because of what they think it brings to them with other people, the cachet that they think that they earn. And it really is about how are you treating your actual transgender family members? How are you treating them, and
Mhm.
what are you doing to really connect? And that's the big piece. um so listen, we here, uh for y'all out there watching the show, we have some exciting news at Team Peppermint. We have added Discord to our Patreon membership benefits. Ooh! And this means that if you join my Patreon, you will, you, of course, you'd be supporting me and the production of Pepp Talks and helping it keep afloat, but you'd also gain access to a Patreon only chat room, and have the ability to be a part of our virtual video chat audience, which is taking place right now in the other room. And we call it the Candy Dish very affectionately. Um,
Oh.
in case you're unfamiliar with using Discord, here's some quick tips and instructions, real quick. You create an account on Discord, number one. You log into your Patreon, okay? You click on the apps tab and click connect to the Discord app. Then you log on to Discord to find the Candy Dish just popping up right there. Okay, so that's how you do it. I will see you over in the chat room. So before we even go any further, we have to talk about something. This is not a Black film. We're about to talk about the Black film of the week. But before we do, we have to. I saw your tweet on Twitter, obviously, talking about this series that a couple people had mentioned to me, Mitch or one of our producers had mentioned, and I was like, I don't know, I'm going to get into it, and I ended up watching it the same. I think you binged it the same exact time you binged it. I'm
And
talking about Veneno, and it was epic. What did you think of this series? I keep wanting to call it a movie. It was so cinematic,
yeah.
but what did you think of it? Tell me.
I mean, it's so delicioso is what I think. It's delicioso. And I really am savoring every episode. I believe that I still have to start episode 6.
The light. Oh, I dropped the light.
It's truly amazing. I'm honestly the level of authenticity across generations. It just the mentorship, the
The motherhood, the sisterhood.
recognizing each other, yes, like her girl seeing her trans before she even started, and the best friend feeling
Girl,
foolish
and
that she didn't
girl,
see her.
not no spoiler alerts, no spoilers. But let me tell you everything you just said, plus the fact that they did it in a they this show is presented in a way that obviously it's entertaining, but is so like cinematically artistic and beautiful with with the actual cinematic transitions and just the way that these performances,
Yeah, the
these
performances are
the writing, yes,
the
the
performances
performance.
are really heart wrenching, and I really hope that when people see this, when the critics see it, when the people who vote on any whatever, it's just like I don't even know if you can the depths of some of the moments that these girls gave up were just so colorful and beautiful. Um Eddie Redmayne could never. Like
Oh my word! Please say it again.
what's his
It's the
what's his
truth, and
what's
Eddie
his name
Redmayne
from
knows it.
Dallas? No, yeah, what's the Dallas Buyers Club? Well, let's include Jet Laird,
Jared Leto. Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Listen, as talented as he is, brother, you could
And those
never.
were some great
When
performances. Those were some performances that were
baby,
deserving,
yep,
I think, deserving
yep. But let me
of the
tell you,
Oscar,
the
dude.
moment that La Veneno stepped onto the scene
He said,
through the
Eddie, who?
headlights of the cars, you could not, you can't put on like makeup and wardrobe and whatever. You can't put on that effect.
Oh, and
You can,
let me tell you what. Let me tell you in that same vein, because these are obviously trans actors and trans talent in the show. There was a moment in time, and when I say the acting, and personally, for me, for some people, um, the notion of playing myself or ourselves before medical transition is triggering to some people, right?
yes,
And
yeah.
so I have to tell you, watching that story, I had to stop and rewind and pause because I was even not confused, but
What's
bewildered
going on? Yes,
that
yes.
these people, these players, can play pre and post their medical transition. And I don't know what they personally went through to do that, but they did it so authentically and so beautifully. And I was just like, oh my God, is this like I was getting in. I don't want to say who we see later
They
on,
oh,
but
yes,
I was
yes.
like, darling, wait a minute, that's no breastplate. That's girl, what's going
Right.
on here, darling?
Looking CUNTY, baby. Looking. I
Girl.
was just like, oh, you,
Oh, oh,
oh.
oh.
Y'all not playing.
They were
Oh,
not
yeah.
playing, girl. They were like, oh, we're gonna show y'all motherfuckers over in the United States how we're gonna do
They
this.
got them Mexican hormones.
They got that Mexican hormones, honey. You
They
go
got
for
that
dinner,
German
we
shot.
take it, and
Yeah.
you come through for dessert looking fly.
Mhm.
Okay, so anyway, the point is everyone go watch Veneno.
Go
It's
watch
on
Veneno.
HBO Max. Check it out. Please support it. It is very adult themed. There's definitely violence. There's clearly some sex and some nudity in it. So it's not necessarily for all the young
And
folks. You
watch
clearly
it in Spanish with the subtitles.
do yourself a favor, even if you don't speak Spanish, watch it in Spanish and read the English subtitles. The performance is so much
Rich.
it's worth it. Let's just say it's worth it. I think the people who did the English voiceovers did a great job, but it's
Yes.
worth it to see it in Spanish. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? The moment we've all been waiting for. Today's movie is Barbershop 2, Back in Business. And just to answer your question, Angelica, we really just chose this arbitrarily. Like my fabulous friend and assistant and one of the producers of the show, Raif, chose the movie. So I've seen it before, but I was like, all right, Barbershop 2. And so here is a look at the trailer, everyone. If you haven't seen it, let's go. Okay, so there you have it. That was the trailer. And so right now, like I said, I want to know, let's see how many people. There's actually a few scissors in the comments. I'm scrolling down, back. See how many. Okay. All right, so good. This is like the first week that people actually prepared. So for those of you who didn't see the movie, make sure you keep your mind ready to watch next week's movie when I tell you to do it. But in the meantime, here's the synopsis. This film is a sequel to the 2000. This film is a wait, what? This sequel film in 2004, can't read, returns to the Chicago barbershop owned by Calvin Palmer Jr., played by Ice Cube, and his employees, Isaac, Troy Garrity, Terry, Eve, played by Eve, Ricky, played by Michael Ealy, and Dinka, played by Leonard Earl Howes, and Kennard. This is a new barbershop. A new barbershop called Nappy Cuts has moved in across the street, and as Calvin tries to change the character of his business, to kind of fit the times, what's happening, Nappy Cuts and gentrification become a threat to the surrounding community. So that's the synopsis to the movie. So let's just jump right in. You asked why I chose this film. What are your overall thoughts of the film? You saw this movie back in the day, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what were your thoughts compared to then and now? Generally.
Wow, things change. Things change when you look back at at movies now, and that movie's not even that old, But I just look at movies sometimes, and I was just like, I was over it. I laughed a lot. Like just at some of the jokes I forgot they were in there. It was funny, But overall, I was just over the sort of cishet normativity that's I just was over the stench of it. So it just landed differently with me at these times when I'm watching these things, and I'm just like, I'm over it.
All right.
I don't know. It was yeah, like I said, it was funny, but then the first thing I thought was Keke Palmer is a damn star.
She's a star in the movie. And I remember that little girl, but I didn't realize it was Keke Palmer until I watched it again this week. I was like,
Keke Palmer stole the show.
Darling, showing out.
That was my favorite part of the movie was Keke Palmer. Like she doing her she was
her neck, honey.
Keke Palmer was it for me. That was my favorite part.
I can agree with that. Well, what about the acting? Obviously, you love Keke Palmer. What do you think about what do you think about Queen Latifah? Her acting in this film. This was early for her. Huh? Oh Lord, get the fan. It's getting hot, darling.
Oh my God, I'm tearing up. Oh my goodness. But listen, I didn't
Tell me,
have
tell
listen, I don't know why did I drink before this, but like no, because I remember they were in the movie. It was just so funny. It's just so funny to me. This is just so funny because like all of it's so funny to me. I just look at it all with a different lens now. Like even Ice Cube as he's doing his speech, I'm like, damn, what's the main guy's name? What's the main character's name that opens the barbershop?
um,
Calvin.
I Calvin. Hmm.
I was like, Calvin's a Republican. Like they
Pretty
don't know
much.
that Calvin is a Republican. Like he talking all that talk now, but wait a few years. Calvin's a Republican. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, the
Oh wait,
acting.
you mean actual Ice Cube is Republican?
That's that. Listen, I'm just saying, girl, he was ready to work with Trump and blah blah blah. Like that, he's a Republican. Like low key, he's a Republican. Low key, Lil Wayne too.
Oh yeah, I know about that fool. Good
Yeah, Kanye
lord.
West.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
the
So
list
you have
goes
it on the.
down. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, what about this? Okay, so the storyline for me is what
It all
it's the
hits so
same.
differently now. It just
It
all
it
hits
just,
differently.
but it feels the same because, girl, it basically. I'm sorry to say, y'all, it is basically Barbershop One redone. That's what it feels like to me.
Well,
It's
I
like
didn't,
the same.
so I didn't go rewatch Barbershop One, so I don't remember exactly what went down in
Mhm.
Barbershop One. But what I know is like this sort of the way that masculinity and everything is sort of like portrayed. It's just like so archaic sometimes, and like so when you see it in certain spaces, you're like, yeah, we need to evolve beyond that. Like you're like, the ways in which Eve, I felt like it was like more about her being somebody, like women being some man's
Property.
property. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
these men having access to women that they just honestly don't deserve. So it's constantly like constantly creating this environment of men thinking they have access to women that they don't even set, they're not even at the bar to reach for. So it's like it's an interesting like portrayal that is kind of illustrated that seems to want to speak on behalf of a nostalgic place of blackness that is devoid of queerness. And I that's what for me
Devoid
that's
of queerness.
and
That's the
when they
one
do
piece.
have someone in there, they it's like a joke that they're made out of, or they're wearing some gay guy with a lip gloss, or whatever is happening in the thing. But like I now go back and watch these movies, and for black people who have tried to carve our space out in Hollywood so that we have something to feel nostalgic about, like they don't understand so many times in which their cis heteronormativity, it just looks, it's a bad look. When you go back and look, it's a bad look.
It really is. It's so dated. Now, I will say that, like, this is one of the moments where they were, I think, just kind of in the shadow of, like, things like Big Mama's House and some of the Tyler Perry comedies.
Hmm.
Um, obviously, I know Medea and Big Mama's House are two different things. Um, I think that they tried. This was like that age of, it's almost like the Cosby version of black movies coming through in the 2000s, because there was a moment in time in like the late 80s where all the black television, black programming uh, on TV was just like, really, really, it was good that they were showing affluent families like the Cosbys, but on the other hand, they really weren't dealing with a lot of the issues that everyday black folks were dealing with. And so then when we go to Barbershop, that's more realistic, I think, being in Chicago and dealing with a small business. But it was like this really kind of overly family friendly kind of thing, which feels a little like cartoony to me. I'm not saying that I
Well,
want to
but it,
see.
it was, I think they were just wanting to reach a mainstream audience. It's like, are we there
Mhm,
yet? Ice Cube really, I feel like, showed his colors throughout the like sort of trajectory of his career, from going from
mhm.
NWA and F the Police to being like, hey, let's listen to Trump. Like, so it's one of these things of being, you can see when someone's willing to collect certain checks. and spend their time telling
Mhm.
certain stories and less time telling other stories. You know, it's when Black women are calling out the abuse that they've experienced at the hand of some of these heroes and they don't want to
And
talk
we're
about.
not addressing that. We are not talking
So
about
what
that.
kind of so my thing is, my bruh, like what kind of like what are we doing here? Like what are we doing? What kind of stories are we telling? Are we there was just so much, like I said, as I'm watching all of the stuff now with a different eye. And I just want our people to do better because here's the thing. I'm watching the show and I got pissed actually at one moment where one dude comes in and there's an R. Kelly joke.
Oh my God.
And
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 they and
and
they
my
and they chuckled it off.
they've always chuckled it off. Not chuckled it off, knowing there's something wrong with it. So my thing is, Dave Chappelle, you're willing to make money off of creating a caricature that taps on an issue we know is an issue with R. Kelly, but when a Black woman speaks up and when Black woman needs you to speak up, and when a Black woman like Dream Hampton produces a series like Surviving R. Kelly, where lots of Black women are standing up talking about their experience, and when she comes to you and asks you to speak up and you say no comment, but you had comment when you was pissed talking about
Yeah.
pee on me
That
and doing all this other stuff, but you can't speak up as a Black man. Y'all can all joke about it on TV. Every freaking show has a joke about R. Kelly, but which one of y'all are the jokes? Because which one of y'all are standing up and saying something for real?
none of them. Every
Y'all the
single every
jokes.
single every single joke about R. Kelly and every single all the energy about anything having to do with R. Kelly, all the stuff went into it, and it really was about let's just chuckle at the situation that this superstar, because it was a superstar, was in, and not bringing him down a notch or two. It's really not about R. Kelly. It's about all of the women and girls, children who were abused by his hand or on his watch, that he was quite literally
And
pissing
this
it
is how much
on.
people don't care about young Black girls. This is how much people don't
Yeah,
care about young Black girls because they
yeah.
blame them. They blame
It
them, saying that they were fast. They blame them, and they blame instead of understanding, like when you were young and around a place with no opportunities, and some man is telling you he can make you a singer or do this or do that or whatever, and you know how these kids are. When an adult tries to manipulate somebody and sell them a dream, so tell me you ain't got no compassion for that little girl.
Which is why, and you know what also didn't age well is the fact that the person who, because I can understand having to have like a little bit of a back and forth, the one person who defended R. Kelly in the barbershop was the woman Eve, which made no sense to me. That you are going to write a Black woman being, and I'm not, there are Black women who are defending R. Kelly, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
please do not have Eve up in here being like, I don't believe it. Girl, you're in the music industry. You know that stuff is true. Girl. So what do you think is the impact on our everyday life as Black folks? Not I mean queerness, not they didn't even get into queerness or womanness and uh feminist topics the way that they could have in this movie. Um But what do you think is the impact on like a certain generation of Black folks who saw the movie? You know, was it a positive impact? Do you think it was just kind of a or negative?
I think it just I don't think it moved us forward.
Hmm.
So I think it was just another notch on the headboard, you know what I'm saying? But it just didn't move us forward. And so I think it was great. You know, it was experience for people, help people's resumes. You know, there was a lot of things that were done. But I know that like that kind of television encourages our community to create these caricatures, and you just see so many folks who like what I did love about Barbershop was seeing some of the true comedians in there, and like some of the
It
ones
was
who
an
I haven't
all-star
seen in a
cast.
yeah, so some of the ones I hadn't seen in a while that were like just like one of the guys was like just a client that kept showing up, but the way he delivered lines were so freaking funny. And he's a comedian who, you know, who I recognize. But what happens is us as Black people sometimes we see something that works and we learn to tell the joke the same way.
Mm-hmm.
We learn the same inflictions, and all of a sudden we learn how to sell the caricature that people is that's familiar to people. But the problem with that is it's being sold as blackness familiar. So that
Mm-hmm.
people that's what black familiarity is. So when if you're not you got that's why when you got white directors or different people who are telling black actors how to be black on screen because they think they know what reads true as
What?
black, all that kind of stuff. So it's for me, like I said, like I think that I mean, even like Ace Ventura. I mean, again, just to because it's not just black movies, but like thinking about Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. We talk about that and things where like I grew up like these movies, like loving them, but then like these in today when we go back and watch and just
It
see
does
all
not
that
hold water.
problematicness, it doesn't hold water. And so for me, so many of there's some great stuff that like Waiting to Exhale and some, wonderful things that I do still carry those nostalgic things with. But when it comes to like black men and masculinity, um, I'm
Mm-hmm.
me, we haven't moved forward in some ways. Some of our men haven't moved forward because they're still looking up to a certain way that masculinity is portrayed in black media.
The one of the things I think was really interesting about this movie, that they did try to deal with, which is unusual,
The
is
gentrification.
the gentrification, and then also the white person who is immersed in and
Mhm.
maybe even grew up in Black culture. That was really interesting to me to have those two themes so strongly in this movie. And so I appreciated that bit of the
Yeah.
conversation a little bit. It's like, okay, this is real because I live in Harlem, and if gentrification ain't the name of the game in here, honey, I don't know what is. And there's lots of, I think there's definitely, in certain neighborhood, probably in every Black neighborhood, there are white people who grow up, who are born and grow up in that culture, in the culture, around and of, and probably the only white person around, other than maybe their their parents. And so that's really interesting to kind of see a take on all of that. I thought that was
Yeah, I
wonderful. It's
think
kind of like, okay.
I think that folks, we do need to I just sometimes I feel, I'm always going to say the stuff, but like sometimes I feel like folks just be behaving like the weakest link a lot. And like, so when it comes to like white, let's say for instance, which I loved, you're right. I love the way that they did include, that storyline. It just showed someone who had the respect for the boundaries of being in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I think is missing nowadays, and you got a lot of weak links in our community giving white people passes to do a lot of stuff that ain't cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a situation where white people will take that pass and go to a different store or a different environment and
And
trying to
cash
use
it
that
in.
pass.
Cash it in. They try to
Bitch,
cash it
that
in,
don't
girl.
work here. What you say? Because bitch, that don't work here. You
It might
understand
have
what I'm saying?
worked
Like
while
you don't get
on the
this.
stoop with your friends.
But that don't work here. So stop thinking that just because you cool with somebody, you cool with the whole community like that. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
comes with the N word, that comes with the T word, that comes with a F, that comes with any of these, sort of phrases that have been reclaimed. Dave Chappelle wanted to ask the question why he can stand on stage and say the N word all day, but then if he says the F word, they'll come after him, blah, 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 because you're not a part of that community. That's why you can't say the word. You can say the N word all day because you're part of that community.
And
Question?
even if you were doing everything that you could do as a cis hetero man to support and fight on behalf of and champion and understand and struggle with and draw a connection with that community, meaning the LGBTQ community, you still couldn't use that word. And you're not doing those things.
Right. And you're not even doing them
You
things.
ain't doing
So
it. Yeah.
girl, give it up.
What how important is it for people to support and see black films? And when I say black films, there's there's a large. It could be historically films that starred black people, mostly black casts, and were about black stories, or preferably stories that are written and created by black folks. But in general, how important is it for, there's a lot of people who put all those things in one box, and I know that there's a difference, but how important is it for people to experience those things and indulge in them and really engage with them?
Well, again, I think it's just important because all content is not the same. And so
Mhm.
I think that it's just important, just in the same way that we talk about trans representation, look at trans content created by trans people versus trans content not created by trans people about trans people, and you will see the stark difference in the authenticity, in the heart, in the point, and like the understanding and the empathy and all kind of things. Same thing goes when you're talking about telling stories of black people, black and brown people. Have them be told by black and brown people and watch how profound those lessons when the music comes on. Them real profound lessons hit differently when they're coming from a different storyteller, when it's not always a white savior coming in to save the day, or when actually we see a little bit of colors where things aren't so black and white. But we sometimes don't see that unless we have black storytellers.
The simplest way to understand that is you take a lot of the movies that were about the hood in the 90s, and the two that stand out 100% above all the others, because there was a whole lot of them that came through that were by white directors and writers and storytellers that star black people, but the two that were the pinnacle were the first and one towards the end of all of that. The book ended that moment in time from 1989 to 1994 5 were Do the Right Thing by a black person, written, directed by a
Mhm,
black person,
mhm.
and Boys in the Hood,
Boys in the
written and
Hood,
directed
yeah.
by a black person. And that's
Mhm.
that's how you know everything else was not. I can't say
Baby,
none of
you
the
got
other films were,
Lawrence
but yeah.
Fishburne and Angela Bassett, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's some classic black film for you.
There it is. I'm gonna check these comments, and we are gonna promote. We got to do a little bit of plugging because you got some really wonderful things going on that I think a lot of people don't know or may not know, or they have the opportunity to find out. You are the Queen Maven and um, creator of Transtech Social. Tell everybody a little bit about Transtech Social on this part of it. We talked about it in the last show, but can you talk a little bit about Transtech Social and why you started it and what services they provide?
Yeah, transtechsocial.org is an online and offline community of LGBTQ plus folks. You and our allies, you don't have to be trans to be here, but you have to know that at Transtech, we center the most marginalized, who we believe are trans, black, and brown folks.
Mhm.
Folks, who are immigrants that are also trans, folks who have multiple layers of marginalization. And so we basically leverage all of our skills as a community. Some of us have had careers with tons of experience, and we can share those skills with each other. Others, have a great blank slate to start with. So we have everything from, e-courses that people can access. We have a job board, and then we have our summit that we have every year, which is the Transtech Summit. It's completely
It's
free this year.
worldwide.
And this year we went worldwide. So we have people dialing in across 6 continents. We have folks from Uganda. We had girls logging in from their car, like literally on the phone, talking about, Miss Ross, thank you for creating this space. So all we did was make it more accessible for people to access workshops, from everything from coding to like acting and filmmaking workshops, from Rain Valdez, who is Emmy nominated.
It's
So it's just about
so
giving our
special.
community access to each other's resources,
Mhm.
to the skills and things that we can share. We have value within our own community. We just need to kind of discover it. And then also connecting with a pipeline of employment into other companies like Salesforce, who is one of our biggest sponsors for the Transtech Summit.
Listen, next year, I would love to be a part of the Transtech Summit and volunteer to do
Please, yes.
something.
Do a
I can talk,
workshop,
I
do
can give a
something.
workshop, I can
Yes.
tell people about how to put their lashes on, whatever, girl. I could
Yes.
do a couple different
Yes.
things.
Well,
Um,
I'm gonna
oh,
keep you on your word. So
y'all
next year
heard
we're
it
gonna have
here.
you.
Y'all heard it here. Run the tape. um, your IG is Angelica Ross. And just another reminder, before the show in our Patreon exclusive interview, we talked about Mario Lopez as Colonel Sanders from KFC, how Angelica found peace during quarantine, the impact of Angelica's success, and redefining what trans success looks like. You hear her walking and talking the talk and walking the walk and living the life every single moment. And also, we talked about helping sex workers off of the street and empowering them. If you want to watch that, then head over to my Patreon where you can find exclusive clips and behind the scene videos and full episodes of Pepp Talks. Now, I want to segue really quickly to our skincare or makeup, actually our makeup product of the week. This is Lip
Mm.
Bar Lipstick in the color un unimpressed. There we go.
Oh, I
It's
love
hard to
that
see. Very,
name.
very pretty. And
And I
we're
love
gonna
lip bar.
yeah, Lip Bar is fantastic. It is a vegan and cruelty-free
And
beauty
black owned,
brand
ain't it?
and black owned. Yes, that exists to help you change the way you think about a beauty. The creator says they started Lip Bar in the kitchen while working on Wall Street because I was tired of the beauty industry's lack of diversity, lack of inclusion, and excessive amounts of unnecessary chemicals. And
Hmm.
so I've been wearing this lipstick all day. I'm gonna put some more on
Love it.
today.
Looks so beautiful on you. I love that. Unbothered,
Thank
right?
you. Yeah, it's unimpressed.
Oh, unimpressed.
Unimpressed.
Yes. Listen, I'm making up
And it's
names.
yeah, honey. Well, if I ain't unimpressed, I'm unbothered, honey. But this is a really pretty. It's pretty, and
That's very
it's
pretty.
yeah. It is a liquid lipstick, and this one is matte. They have
I love
glosses
a
and
good
everything.
matte lip gloss. Yeah.
Yeah, and they folks they have just a wide range of colors that work on all types of skin tones. And you've seen me talk about Lip Bar a lot. It's important for me to highlight um, products by businesses that are Black owned when I can. That's not the only thing we do, but when we find somebody we talk about it. And so I want to say thank you again to everyone for watching. We're gonna find out our movie of the week right now. Of next week, that is. And so this is the thing. I'm going to announce it right now. And we're watching. You need to go and get the movie that I'm about to say and watch it so that when you come in next week, you can talk about it in the comments like we did today. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I don't know if you can see it. To next week's movie is Truck Turner. I don't know if you can see it. I know it's got a glare. Truck Turner is the movie. It stars Michelle Nichols, and she's a legend. And so make sure you watch that movie. And the guest next week is Willem. Hello, that is going to be a full kiki, y'all. And just to recap, if you are just joining us right now, please head on over to my Patreon to see everything you just missed. Yeah. And I want to put out a call to everybody watching the show. Please, please, please go and stream my new album. It's called A Girl Like Me, Letters to My Lovers. It's about my personal love life set to music. If you like the album, stream it. And if you love the album,
You
go
got the
to
best sex.
Sex. Yes, girl.
Yeah.
If you love the album, you can get yourself a limited edition vinyl copy. It's for pre-sale right now. You can go to the link. We're going to post the link here. I'm going to post the actually I'll post the link right now. I have it. I have it on my thing already. Okay, I'm going to post the link right now. Link is in the comments, and you can buy a copy right now pre-sale for $30. After the 16th, the price goes up; it gets more expensive, and it also comes with some special merch. And so you get yourself something for the holidays, and make sure you tune in next week to see Willem and Truck Turner while we talk about Truck Turner. And yeah, get yourself up to speed before next week's show. For the meantime, that is it. My name is Peppermint. Angelica Ross, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.